In this video, we're going to be talking about what I consider to be the 6 best Vanguard ETFs that you can invest in right now.
But the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah. I am the cream. Yeah, let me say it, yeah. Let me say it out loud. The cream of the crop. I am the cream. I am the cream, yeah.
What's up, guys? It's Mike and Chipper.
Reporting for duty.
Welcome back to Money in Life TV. This is the channel you can come to every single week to improve your financial position, your career, and your life. All right, guys, I really wanted to make this video. This is a follow-up video to my first video in this series, the 6 best Vanguard mutual funds of all time. You guys really liked that video, and I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. If you haven't seen that video, I'll link it up right here, and I'll also link it up in the comment section down below. So make sure to go check that out when you get a chance. Before we get started, guys, I just wanted to disclose that I am not a professional investor. All of the investments I'm about to show you are of my own opinion, so please do not take this as investment advice. Please do your own homework and your own research on the investments I'm going to show you and make your own educated opinion. If you're not sure about it, you might consider consulting with a financial advisor who can direct you better to determine what to invest in. I'm about to show you guys a spreadsheet that I put together for this video, very similar to the Vanguard mutual fund video that you can now download on moneyinlifetv.com. I know I didn't get a chance to put the original spreadsheet up from the first video, but I'm also going to make that available as well. So you're going to be able to download these spreadsheets that I'm showing in this video for free, no strings attached. All you have to do is go to my website, moneyinlifetv.com, which I will also put a link for that in the description section down below, and you can download this spreadsheet for free, and so you can have it with you and look at it, and you can use it to analyze these investments. I'm basically handing you this research on a silver platter. Like, it's there for you, so just go check it out and use it to the best of your advantage. With that being said, let's dive right into these Vanguard ETFs.
Right on! Let's do it! Rock that world! Rock that world!
All right, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. So here's the spreadsheet. It's gonna kind of look similar to the one I used in the best Vanguard mutual funds of all time. So here it is, and this is the spreadsheet you can download. Now, we're gonna go over these in no particular order. The way I've chosen these particular ETFs, before we get into this, just so you know, is, so most of the Vanguard ETFs on the Vanguard website have been around since around 2004. And I think that's about as far back as they go. There might be one that's like 2002, but for the most part, they started around 2004 and beyond. All the investments I'm about to show you on screen, I said, okay, the criteria for the investment choice for this video is each investment has to be about 7 years old or greater. So 7+ years old on the Vanguard website. The other criteria I looked at is what has provided, or which ETFs have provided the highest rate of return since 2004 to now, just based on how long they've been around and the kind of performance they present. The ETFs are from various sectors of the stock market, and so I think you're going to find a diverse group of ETFs. When I came across what I thought to be the best performing ETF on Vanguard's website, it kind of surprised me because I really thought it would be something else, but it is what it is. So we're going to start this. I'm not going to go in any particular order, but you're going to be able to see which ETF has been the best performing ETF for Vanguard. All right, guys, and so the way the spreadsheet works, in the top left corner, you're going to find the ticker symbol right here. This is the name of the Vanguard ETF itself. You're going to find the yield information. This one has a 1.73% yield, which basically is a dividend, right? Then over here, this says, this is the date I've researched this. I've looked at this on October 21st of 2017. Obviously, things were going to change over time. Just because these investment choices are solid right now doesn't mean it's going to perform as well in the future. Nobody knows. I don't know. You guys don't know. But just keep that in mind, that these investments might not perform the same way they always have been. So this one VIS is the Vanguard Industrial ETF. This one's been in existence for almost 14 years now. And I've clipped slides from the Vanguard website, took snippets of the images directly from the Vanguard website that you can read and look at right here. All of these ETFs are high risk, so please consider, maybe consult with your financial advisor, or please consider how much risk you think you should be taking. So keep that in mind. Risk is very important. And if you're near retirement, some of these might be a little too risky depending on your risk preferences. So this first part, the product summary information, guys, I'm just gonna leave that for you to read. I'm gonna kind of skip over that. When you go and download the spreadsheet, feel free to read all of this, okay? Just take your time and read it. But I'm gonna dive into the meat because that's what I wanna focus on. So if we go down a little bit, VIS, which is the Vanguard Industrial ETF, as you can see, here's its performance. So this thing's been around since 2004, so it's been around since the beginning of Vanguard ETFs, and on average, you can expect about a 10% rate of return. In the last 10 years, a 7% return, the last 5 is 16%, and in the last year, this thing is really kicking butt. 23% rate of return since the last year. Now keep in mind, this information on Vanguard's website is only current through September 30th of 2017. Their website lags a little bit in terms of the current price and some of this historical information, so just bear that in mind. Over here you see a solid graph. Obviously, back in 2008 when the crash happened, this thing did take a dive, but this thing has had a healthy growth ever since. So what makes up this Vanguard ETF? In this section of the spreadsheet, you'll see on every one of these tabs down here that I've included the diversifications of holdings. So this is where you can read of the industrials sector, what percentage of each industry within that sector it owns. You know, aerospace, you know, agricultural farming, airlines, etc. But down here, and I'll let you guys read this. So when you download the spreadsheet, you can pause the video or you can go download the Excel spreadsheet for yourself, and you can read all this information. But what I wanted to focus on is the top 10 holdings. What are the top 10 investment or companies that make up this ETF? So for this one, the number 1 is General Electric, number 2 is Boeing, then we have 3M, Honeywell, Union Pacific, United Technologies, United Parcel Service, Lockheed Martin, which is that huge weapons manufacturer, FedEx, Caterpillar, etc. So these are the companies that this owns. If you scroll down a little bit more, you're gonna find the fees for these ETFs. Very low fees. This one is only 0.1%, so super low fees. And what's nice is Vanguard shows you how much money you would save down here if you had $10,000 invested in this for 10 years. This would be the total fees you would pay. So it's very cheap, guys. These things are all these ETFs are very inexpensive. And that's one of the advantages of ETFs is they are so cheap. So this was the Vanguard Industrial ETF. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. So now we're looking at the VHT. So this is Vanguard's health ETF, meaning it deals with companies in the medical sector and the health industry, things like that. It says, as you can see, it offers a 1.33% yield. It's been in existence for almost 14 years, so it's been around for quite a while. If we scroll down here, obviously it's a high risk. All of these ETFs, guys, are going to be high risk, so just, like I said, keep that in mind. So this thing has been in inception since the beginning of 2004, and on average, it produces a 9.88% return every single year. So that's what you can expect if you put money into this thing. On the top 10 holdings, it owns Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, United Health Group, Merck, AbbVie, Amgen, Cellogen, Medtronic, Gilead Sciences, probably butchered the name of that one, Bristol Myers, etc. So this is primarily what it owns, and about half of the total assets of this ETF are in these 10 investments. Fees, once again, fees on these things, guys, are super cheap. Once again, look at this, only 0.1%. If you're looking for exposure to the healthcare industry, if you want to have a solid ETF that you can invest in, put money in, and does not look back, I would recommend this one. This one, I think, is a pretty darn good ETF. Okay, the third one I want to share with you guys is VDC, is the Vanguard Consumer Staples ETF. Consumer staples. This is obviously, food, supplies, things we use on a normal everyday basis. So let's go down. Once again, high risk. I wouldn't think this one would be high risk, but right there, it indicates that this one is a 5 in terms of the risk meter. You can almost a 10% rate of return every single year since 2004. So this one, if you look at the past, you'll notice if you look at the last 10 years, 5 years, 3 years, even 1 year, it is more conservative in terms of the rate of return, but it's steady nonetheless. But in the last 5 years, the last 3 years, it hasn't performed as strongly, which I wouldn't expect it to, as let's say industrials, healthcare, etc. Going down a little bit, let's look at the top 10 holdings. Let's see what this thing has in store for us. So it owns companies like Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, Phillips Morris, Pepsi, Altria Group, Walmart, CVS, Costco, Walgreens, and some of these other companies as well. So that's what 62% of their assets are in. And once again, notice the trend here with the fees. It's only 0.1%. It's things people use on an everyday basis that they consume. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of retail companies on here. So they're gonna have competition such as Amazon, but overall, these are companies that sell everyday products that people use here in America and around the world. All right, let's look at VSS. This is the Vanguard FTSE All-World X US Small Cap ETF. Whew, that is a mouthful. So this thing is an international global stock ETF. That's what this thing's about. So if we scroll down here, let's look at some average returns. So this one has the highest rate of return since inception yet. But notice it's only been around since 2009. Which has only been around for, it's almost been around 9 or 10 years. It's getting there. There's no dividend yield on this one. So notice that. Let's go back down here. So no 10-year return average because it doesn't have that much history yet. But like I said, all of the funds I've chosen, I believe, are over 7 years old, 7 years or greater. But in the past few years, guys, notice this thing is taking off. I'm seeing not only in ETFs and mutual funds, but in the stock market as well, is that international companies are really taking off right now. Even the investment advisors who come to the company I work at are telling me the same thing. So if you're looking for a foreign investment or foreign exposure to the international markets, and you invest in Vanguard, this would be the ETF that I would recommend for you. If we go down here, I'm probably, it's like I thought. I'm not going to know these companies. I'm obviously not very familiar with a lot of international companies. So if you know who these companies are and you know them and trust them, then more power to you. So this was the Vanguard FTSE All World X US Small Cap ETF, VSS. Now let's move on to the next one. You guys may notice I'm going a little bit faster than I did in my first video that covered Vanguard's best all-time mutual funds. So if you guys have questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you and respond to whatever question you may have to the best of my ability. Okay, let's look at VOO, which is VOO. This is the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. This thing is pretty stellar. Let me show you why. So this thing has only been around for about 8 years, 7 to 8 years at this point, based on the date I researched this. About a 2% yield. You'll get a 2% dividend on this. And of course, this thing is made up of Fortune 500 companies. So let's go down. This is the only one, I think, in this whole spreadsheet that has only a 4 as a risk scale. The rest of them, I believe, are 5, so high risk. So this one's a little bit less risky than the others. Let's go down here. This thing, guys, has been doing fantastic. So since 2010, this thing has gone up about 15% per year on average. Last year, it almost went up 20%. It's really good. And over the last 5 years, I mean, it's about 10 to 14%. So I don't think you can go wrong with this.
Damn, I'm good.
But one thing I will point out, because if you look at the date of inception, I don't think this thing would be as good if it had came in 2008, because the crash happened right here. And this thing doesn't have that. So I think that's why its returns are a little higher than some of the other ones. But nonetheless, it's still a very high-performing Vanguard ETF. Oh, before we look at the fees, let's look at the top 10 holdings. You're looking at Apple, Google, which is Alphabet, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, Johnson & Johnson, ExxonMobil, JP Morgan, Bank of America, and this represents 20% of his total net assets. And this thing, I looked on Vanguard, when you click the link that's up here, let me go back up here. If you click the link that's up in here, you can find, let me see if this opens up. It should. Pull this over here real quick. You will find that if you go to, oops, here we go. So if you click the link, you can find what those investments are made up of. If you just go to portfolio management, and you're wondering what companies does this thing own, and you can do this for any of the investments we're covering here, guys. You can do portfolio holdings. Click here. And now you can see what every investment is in this ETF. There's currently 506 investments. This obviously can change, but this is all the investments in this ETF. And you guys can look at every single, like I said, guys, you can pull this up on any investment you choose. So if you just go to Vanguard, let me go back. So you just go to Vanguard, you go follow the link and go to portfolio management, and then it hides down here right below where it shows you the top 10. Portfolio holdings is what you want. Okay, let's go back to the spreadsheet. Now let's go on to the final one. All right, VPU, the Vanguard Utilities ETF. Now this is what I consider to be the best ETF available on Vanguard. And there's a couple of reasons why I say that. Now obviously we just looked at the S&P 500 one and you saw a 15% rate of return. But remember, 2008 was not a part of that. If you compare this one to all of the other ETFs we looked at, you're gonna see when you come down here, not only does it offer the highest yield, 3.27% annually, it's been around for 14 years. The S&P 500 one was only around 8 or 9. And if you come down here, the average rate of return since inception for 14 years is 10%, which is the highest of all of them that I've seen on the Vanguard website that has been around this long. There's a couple funds, or not funds, but I should say ETFs on the Vanguard website that have really high rates of return of inception, but if you look at them, they've only been around for like 1 or 2 years. So that's why I did not include them in this video. If you go to the Vanguard website, you can find all of these funds, a full list of them. I think there's about 55 ETFs in all that you can look at. I'll leave a link directly to the spot on the Vanguard website where you can view all the funds for yourself, so you can compare and make up do your own research, your own homework, and come up with your own opinions about these particular investments. Obviously, this utility fund is just fantastic. This ETF has been performing so well. Look at this: 1 year, 12%; 3 years, 12%; 5 years, 12%. I mean, it's just crushing what you would get at a bank, right? It's just killing it.
Dominating!
Solid graph, and it continues to have an upward trend. All of these have an upward trend, at least for now. Let's look at the top 10 holdings. Okay, it owns companies like Nextra Energy, Duke Energy Corp, Southern Company, Dominion Energy, Excellion Corp, PG&E, American Electric Power, Sempra Energy, PPL Corp, Edison International, etc. All solid utility companies that are located around the U.S. I think they're all in the U.S. as far as I know of. Maybe there might be some around the world, but these are some pretty large utility companies. Once again, fees are super low, only 1/10%. That's the one thing all of these have in common, is they're all at a 1/10% fee. And that's pretty much it, guys. Just go down the spreadsheet on my website, moneyandlifetv.com. Go to the download section, and that's where you'll find the spreadsheet. You can download it for yourself, look it over, review this information for yourself. Remember, guys, like I said, these investments performances that I showed you here today might change. It might be better in the future. It might be worse in the future. I don't know. But overall, though, I think you can feel pretty confident, pretty comfortable, at least in my opinion, with these ETF choices. So I'll leave links to all of this in the description section down below. And like I said, reach out to me if you have any questions, if there's anything I can explain better, or if there's anything I missed that you think would have been more helpful in regards to this information. Just let me know. I'm happy to get back to you guys. All right, guys, if you liked the video, smash that like button, share this information with a friend, especially a friend who enjoys investing, and make sure to subscribe for our future weekly uploads. On this channel, we make weekly videos that teach finances, investing, taxes, and you're gonna find information and videos that are also gonna help you in your career in your everyday life. All right, guys, I'm curious. What do you think is the best Vanguard ETF of all time? Let me know in the comment section down below. I would love to hear your thoughts and your opinions on Vanguard ETFs or any other ETFs that you know of that have been really successful for you and has been a great investment. I love you guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. You guys have a fantastic week. And if you like the video, if you want to see more videos like this, guys, like I said, just hit that like button. That's gonna tell me that you want to see more content like this. With that being said, guys, I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys. Love you. See you all next week.